In this video, I'll be showcasing a new mod that reworks the way Phantom Liberty is integrated into the game's questline. Under normal circumstances, Phantom Liberty becomes available after the Voodoo Boys questline in Act 2. However, the mod creators OrikonTheModder and Alphanine, hopefully I'm saying that right, felt that Phantom Liberty is better suited to start during the game's third and final act. This is something I agree with, and I talked a bit about it in my video on the tapeworm mission. The Overhauled Phantom Liberty Integration mod, or OPLI for short, contains two modes. The first is called Linear. This is what the main job structure of Cyberpunk looks like. Normally Phantom Liberty starts here, regardless of the completion of the other paths. The Linear mode starts Phantom Liberty at the start of Act 3 after the final tapeworm event has been completed. The second mode is called Flexible. This option has Songbird call you after transmission and life during wartime have been completed. This way, V has spoken to both Hellman and Alt about the situation, giving V a decent picture of their condition. Even though the Phantom Liberty questline starts, it will stop after the quest Lucretia My Reflection. The next mission, The Damned, won't become available until after you have completed Tapeworm, which at that point would be completing Takamura's questline. You can switch between the two modes until transmission has been completed. The mod page states that it is safe to install at any point before you do transmission, but if you want to be really safe, you could just start a new save or wait until you're done transmission in your current one so that it's ready for the next campaign. In-game, the Phantom Liberty mission marked in your journal will incorporate all the main jobs, helping to encapsulate all the info that V is hunting down in regards to the relic. You can even disable the Phantom Liberty logos to make everything feel more connected, instead of constantly being reminded that this is expansion content. The reasoning behind delaying the start of Phantom Liberty may be obvious to those familiar with the expansion, but otherwise there's a write-up on the mod page with both narrative and gameplay explanations, but I'll do a brief summary of both here. Let's start with the story and consider the Linear or Act 3 option as the default. This mod still gives you the freedom to do the main jobs in any order, but Songbird doesn't call until after Tapeworm is done instead of after transmission. By having Phantom Liberty start after Tapeworm is completed, V has talked to Alt, Hellman, and Hanako and has maxed out their knowledge about the relic situation. During the actual call with Songbird, V's final words are about the opportunity being a lifeline, and that line holds much more weight if he or she is actually done chasing down the main leads of the game.
This is one elaborate haze. Or a fucking lifeline.
Something I didn't catch in my Tapeworm video is that, due to the mission structure, the final Tapeworm event can only occur after Search and Destroy or Transmission. The reason being is because Takamura can die in Search and Destroy, and he needs to be alive for the mission Life During Wartime. Anyways, what this means is that when V collapses and is transported to the Pista Sophia, it can either occur at the Sunset Motel or in front of the church in Pacifica. Personally, what I like to do is also save transmission for last. That way, when V collapses, Johnny only has to transfer V from the church to the hotel. The Sunset Motel is in the Badlands, all the way over here. So for the story, it would be much easier for Johnny to transfer V's body the short distance in Pacifica compared to all the way from out in the Badlands. Next, you have to consider the gigantic action movie feats that V pulls off during the Phantom Liberty story. Throughout the expansion, V will have to fight some of the toughest enemies in the game. These include the Blackwalled Chimera and, depending on which ending you go with, the NUSA Black Ops soldiers or Kurt Hansen and Max Tac. Then you've got these stealthier moments like breaking into the Black Sapphire or running away from the Cerberus. Being able to do all that before completing some of the base game's main jobs, such as fighting Oda, throws off the power progression a little bit. At that point, Oda shouldn't pose much of a fight against V, which is something that can be avoided if Phantom Liberty is saved until the third act. The next thing the mod helps to solve is gameplay bloat. The only main job of the last act is the final one in the game, and while each ending may consist of a few more missions, it is a point of no return and encourages you to finish everything else before doing it. I believe the only side jobs in Act 3 are the rogue and carry ones. Everything else in the game can be completed in Act 2. If you count all the gigs and cybercycle encounters, you're probably looking at 200 or more total quests that are available during the second act. By introducing Phantom Liberty at the same time, which itself consists of 40 or so more jobs, you as the player are bombarded with so many missions it can be overwhelming when looking at your journal. By saving Phantom Liberty for Act 3, you can take your time, work your way through the game's main jobs and gigs, and continue the steady stream of missions as you start the expansion. The Phantom Liberty missions are generally more complex as well, so progressing up to those instead of flip-flopping between them and the main game may be more satisfying. Naturally, a lot of players may choose to go look for Evelyn after the heist. Narratively, that makes sense, and it's what I did on my very first playthrough of the game. This mod now allows you to do Evelyn and the VDB questline without worry of activating Phantom Liberty too early. If you're following and all that makes sense, you might be wondering why CDPR just didn't do this in the first place, and the answer is also pretty clear on that front. The problem with making an expansion that integrates into the main story is finding a place to put it. You want new players to be able to experience it, so you can't shove it too late in the game or it'll take too long to get there. This problem is magnified when you want to add an option to start the game at the expansion. So starting Phantom Liberty after transmission appeared to be the best option they could come up with. Starting a new game at the expansion puts you into Act 2, auto-completing all of Act 1, the entire VDB and Evelyn questline, and a couple side jobs. I made a whole video about this start, so check that out if you're interested in some of the finer details. If they had put the expansion in Act 3, new players would either have to play through most of the game first, or the starting option would skip most of it. And that's basically that. To me, this is the ideal mission structure for the game, and the change is just enough to make things flow better without being too controlling. Past this, I've seen players be very strict with the mission order to enhance the role-playing, but I like that this only restructures things a bit and still gives you the freedom to decide what order you want to do things. Even though I like doing transmission last, you're not forced to do that. I know that you could do everything this mod does on your own, but having it baked into the game is nice. This mod does end up pushing all the other Phantom Liberty content such as iconic cyberware and new weapons and clothing to a later stage in the game, so I understand that some players, especially newer ones, may prefer to have access to those earlier. In that case, the flexible setting may work, but it still might not be early enough. But from the two standpoints of the narrative and complexity of the missions, I think placing Phantom Liberty in Act 3 makes sense. It may have taken a while for something like this to come out, but I'm glad it has, and that people in this community are still passionate enough about the game to do something like this. The link for the OPLI mod is available in the description. Make sure to install all the requirements, and shout out to Orikon and Alphanine for a job well done. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching.